You walk into the pet store, and everything looks safe. Clean aisles, soft lighting, rows of cans and kibble smiling back at you like trust wrapped in aluminum. You grab a bag because it says wholesome, because it says natural, because it says vet recommended. But labels lie better than people do, and what goes into your cat's bowl may carry more risk than you ever imagined. Some brands hide more than ingredients. They hide recalls. They hide contamination. They hide failure wrapped in design. Now step back, because what we found might change the way you feed forever. Every year, pet food packaging gets smarter, but the decisions, they get harder. Because in these aisles, confusion sells, and pet parents are vulnerable. You're not comparing GPUs, you're not looking up RAM, you just want clean nutrition for someone who trusts you completely, without knowing what you just poured into their dish. Every can, every bag, every crunch comes with risk or reassurance, but most shoppers only get the advertisement, not the audit. Until now. These are the 10 cat food brands you should never pour into their bowl, even once. And 2 that actually got it right. Let's start with the worst. Your 10 Iams Premium Can, B1 deficiency risk. It's the one lined in gold, the one with the gravy that glistens under soft light, the one that calls itself premium while hiding the one thing your cat's brain desperately needs, vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. And in 2011, Iams pulled wet food cans after the FDA discovered dangerously low levels of this vital nutrient. No bold recall banners, no mass alerts, just a quiet fix in a quiet newsroom while cats were quietly getting sick. The label never changed. The texture stayed smooth. The smell? Still tempting. That's the horror. Your cat can lick the bowl clean while its nervous system is starving. Because thiamine deficiency doesn't show its face until it's too late. Symptoms? Wobbling, confusion, vomiting, stiff walking, seizures, and permanent neurological damage if you're too late to connect the dots. The worst part? Manufacturers know thiamine degrades under heat and time. It vanishes in processing, fades in storage. Without serious testing, the can becomes Russian roulette for small bodies with fragile defenses. Fix: avoid brands that don't publish testing. Photograph your lot codes. And if your senior cat stares too long at the wall, ask whether it's just age or thiamine quietly failing behind a perfect-looking meal. Number 9. Wellness, contamination risk, natural, holistic, artisanal typography printed on beige gradients designed to trick you into trusting the word premium. But in 2017, Wellness pulled cans off the shelf. Why? Foreign materials, potential contaminants inside sealed wet food, and not the kind you notice. Foreign material doesn't rattle, it doesn't smell off, it doesn't change the hue. You open the lid, it hisses like safety. But the system failed before it reached your pantry. Metal fragments, rubber bits, manufacturing debris, the parts of the process no one photographs, the risks that hide between labels and lawsuits. Their recall was quiet. No billboard said, "Stop feeding this tonight." No store clerk stopped you at checkout. Business resumed. Customers returned. But the risk remained. Fix: if a can opens poorly, bulging, a strange metallic smell, stop. If you always serve your cat's food without really looking, change that today. 08 Purina Muse, rubber fragments. This one was pretty. Cute tin, minimalist typography, sold as a topper, just a little something to spoil them. But that small indulgence came with an unexpected second ingredient, rubber. In 2019, the company issued a voluntary recall after rubber fragments were found in certain Muse trays. Rubber, embedded in what looks like luxury, a treat turned choking hazard. And cats don't chew thoughtfully. They don't spit things out in frustration. They swallow fast, instinctively. That one fragment, it slides past molars, grates a throat, scrapes a digestive wall, only to show up as vomiting. Or refusal to eat hours too late. Small cats, senior cats, dental-sensitive cats. They're the first to suffer when the treat comes with trauma. Fix: before you serve a topper tray, crack it with a fork. Spread it out. Look, smell, feel. If anything resists the touch, don't gamble. Number 7. Natural balance. Salmonella in dry kibble. Here's the cruel irony. Limited ingredient. That was Natural Balance's slogan. Fewer things to worry about. Simplicity for sensitive cats. But in 2021, bags of Natural Balance, green pea, and chicken dry cat food tested positive for Salmonella, the silent, odorless killer that forces your home to become a biohazard lab. Because unlike visible fails, Salmonella never announces itself. Kibble still crunches, color remains golden, and meanwhile, one infected bowl leaves your cat carrying bacteria into every surface they touch. It doesn't stop at their litter box. It rides their paws, their spit, their fur. They track it into your home, your floor, sometimes your bed. And the worst part? Your cat might not show symptoms at all, but your toddler might. It's not just bad food, it's community infection. Fix: keep original bags. Don't pour kibble into plastic bins and forget where it came from. If vomiting or fever shows up, treat the bag like evidence. Your cat deserves due diligence, and so does your kitchen. Number 6. Meow Mix. Salmonella repeated. You know this one. It's everywhere. Big cartoon bag, budget price, America's every shelf staple. But that 30 lb bag sold at Walmart in 2021? Salmonella again? And again, you couldn't smell it, couldn't see it, couldn't guess it. Because the savings hide real losses. When food is this cheap, testing isn't always built into the plan. Storage is inconsistent. Bacterial growth doesn't just happen at factories. It happens in warm stock rooms and humid garages where cat food sits for months. And without knowing it, you feed your cat an infection spoon by spoon. Fix: buy smaller bags. Keep them cool and dry. Hold on to the packaging, always. Convenience isn't worth contamination. Number 5. 9 lives. Thiamine deficiency again and again. You know the cat on the label. Morris. Big orange grin. Nostalgic charm. You probably grew up trusting it. But underneath that suburban warmth is a brand that got caught repeating the same mistake. Thiamine deficiency. Again, multiple times between 2018 and 2019, same formula failure, same silent damage. It's not just about thiamine dropping during processing. It's about 9 lives getting caught, recalling quietly, then letting it happen again. That's not an accident. That's a pattern. And what does that look like? At home? A senior cat who starts stumbling? A kitten who seems less playful? A moment you brush off as age when what you're watching is the nervous system shutting down because the one essential thing it needed was missing from the bowl. No smell will warn you. No dented can. No bitter taste to spit out. Just symptoms that show up late and sometimes stay forever. Fix: don't assume that not recalled now means safe. Rotate wet foods more than you think is necessary. Favor brands that release independent nutrient analyses. Remember, a brand that's made the same mistake twice shouldn't get a third chance on your shelf. Number 4. Special Kitty. Store. Brand unknown origin. No frills, no promises. Just a label that says affordable. and a shelf you pass by when you just need something. Walmart's own cat food line has been trusted by millions. But behind the price point is a manufacturing mystery most shoppers never question. Special Kitty doesn't own factories. They source from whoever bids lowest that month. That means rotating facilities, rotating ingredients, rotating risks. In 2019, J.M. Smucker recalled cans for what they called nutritional and quality concerns. But that label didn't tell you anything, because nutritional and quality concerns could mean missing nutrients, bacterial contamination, or even spoiled ingredients making it into the can. And store brand recalls rarely echo overnight. No flashy headlines, just fine print notices while the next shipment quietly rolls onto shelves. When manufacturers change by the quarter, how do you track the problem when it shows up in your living room? You can't. And in the silence of repeat batches, your cat becomes the quality control test. Fix. If you buy store-bought generic pet food, keep the box. Check lot codes on every batch. Inspect can seams before they hit the cart. Watch for swelling lids, sour smells, and never store mystery cans in warm laundry rooms, garages, or back of the shelf pantries. Where your food starts matters, and with this one, you'll never really know. Per 3, Blue Ridge beef, raw food gone wrong. It's marketed as primal, raw, natural, ancestral. It sounds like what cats were always meant to eat, until you realize how fragile the supply chain for raw really is. In 2024, Blue Ridge beef issued multiple recalls, spanning Salmonella, Listeria, contaminated raw products traced back to systemic failures, not small missteps. And this brand? It's catered to believers, people who want better, who will pay more to feed the way nature intended. But nature didn't process meat inside steel factories with floor drains testing positive for human pathogens. Nature doesn't allow Listeria to hide in the corners of prep tables. Here's the truth with raw food. If your cold chain is even slightly off, one exposure, one thaw, refreeze, one missed test, you're not feeding nutrition. You're feeding infection. You dump that slick raw chub into the sink. It smells fine, looks normal. Meanwhile, bacteria are multiplying. On the cutting board, the drain, the bowl, your hands. Cats may show no symptoms, but their paws will carry it to the carpets, their spit to the floor, your shoes to other homes. Fix. If you choose raw, demand posted pathogen testing for every batch. Use gloves. Thaw in a sealed bag within trays, never in the open air. And know this, trust in raw food is earned not through marketing, but through transparent cold chain validation. Number 2, Northwest Naturals, raw food during bird flu. Imagine feeding turkey to your cat in the middle of an active avian influenza outbreak. That's exactly what Northwest Naturals did. From 2024 into 2025, public health alerts showed cats testing positive for H5N1, linked to raw poultry diets, particularly turkey and chicken. And Northwest still marketed those exact formulas. No bold warnings, no customer-facing pause, just business as usual. The virus doesn't change the look or smell of the raw turkey tube. It stays invisible until your cat becomes lethargic, then fever, then trouble breathing, then worse. You hear about bird flu in farms, but rarely picture it crossing into your apartment through the cat bowl. This isn't drama. This is what we're seeing. And without public batch-by-batch virus screening, you're feeding hope and praying the consequences don't follow. Fix. During active outbreaks of animal-borne viruses, don't feed raw poultry. Not to cats, not to dogs, not at all. If you must continue raw feeding, freeze properly. demand third-party pathogen reporting per batch, and avoid feeding sick birds to healthy animals in the name of natural, because infection doesn't care how good the label looks. Number 1, Rad Cat, silent collapse of a premium brand. They were the boutique favorite, the small batch darling. The raw food brand's social media swore on with love. Better than store brands, they said. Until 2018 happened. Listeria, Salmonella, environmental positives in drains and floor cracks inside. Their own plant. Label said premium. Reality said biohazard. Reality said some of that product made it all the way to bowls, and some of those cats got sick. The truth? Rad Cat wanted to be better, but intent isn't sanitation. Artisan visuals don't clean steel tanks. Small batch doesn't mean safe if you miss the microbial checkpoints. Within a year, Rad Cat disappeared, collapsed under the weight of recall after recall, leaving pet owners wondering if the thing they loved was the thing that made their cat sick. Fix. Don't trust boutique without backed up lab results. Demand pathogen reports per flavor, per lot. If you can't trace where and how it was made, don't feed it. Luxury doesn't excuse oversight, and small scale doesn't equal sterile. This is the part where most people panic. They grab their bag, flip the label, scan for expiration, try to remember symptoms, and yes, it's scary. It should be, because responsibility doesn't stop at marketing. It begins after the sale. But you're not here to panic. You're here to learn, to clean the bowl, to rewrite the pantry. And right after this, we'll show you 2 rare brands who actually live up to their promises. Batch tested, transparent, steady. Few get it right, but some still do. Now you know what not to feed. You've seen what hides behind the labels, what's missing from the cans. You've looked at the kitchen floor and wondered, was it the food? The bowl they turned away from yesterday? The weird cough? The extra nap? That little red flag your gut noticed. But your brain ignored because the brand said premium. It's not your fault. The truth was buried under print. And your cat speaks trust, not brand loyalty. But the fix isn't panic. It's precision, clarity, because not every company plays this game with shadows. There are a few, just a few, that test what they ship, publish the data, and invite you to look behind the packaging instead of hiding behind it. So, if you're still listening with your heart open, here are 2 rare brands that actually deserve a place in your pantry. Not perfect, but honest. Safe. Pick number 1, raised right. Test first, ship later. Welcome to what safety should have looked like from the beginning. Raised right doesn't sell adjectives, it sells evidence. Every batch tested. Certificates of analysis posted publicly before they let the food leave the building. No vague reassurances, just microbiological testing for Salmonella, Listeria, E. coli, and documented passing status you can verify in 30 seconds. It's slow food, made for fast lives, gently cooked. Human-grade ingredients, stored cold, handled like it matters, because they know it does. And when you peel that package open, it doesn't smell like metal. It smells like food. You won't see pink gravy designed to distract. You'll see what you made for dinner last night, just more portioned, more consistent. It's not theatrical, it's thoughtful. Here's what matters more than marketing. If something goes wrong, you have a batch code, a test result, a real traceable system to back you up. Not just an Instagram photo of a cat bowl. How to serve it right. Keep the label intact until the food's gone. Don't throw away the QR code or batch number. Scan early. Fridge quickly. Log unusual behavior. Use the same care they gave making it when you're giving it. Because real safety lives in consistency, not flavor promises. Safe pick number 2, open farm, trace it every step. Not many brands will tell you where their meat was raised. Not many will show you where the can was packed. Fewer still point you to the exact lot that's sitting in your pantry right now and say, "Here, look, trace everything." Open Farm built an accountability model other brands should have copied a decade ago. Lot code input on their site, ingredient source, published, facility, listed, claims, verified by third parties, not made up in-house. It's the one brand where when something goes wrong, you already knew how to find out. Most brands hope you never ask. Open Farm builds the question into their model. Your cat's food wasn't made by guesswork. And here, you're not feeding in the dark. The texture is steady. The smell is clean. The label doesn't try too hard because it doesn't have to. It was built backwards, starting from accountability and only then taste. How to serve it right. Search your lot code before it hits the bowl. If the trace doesn't pull up, hold off. Contact the company, they'll respond. That's the system working, not failing. Leave labels on until the pouch is empty. Stack new cans behind old ones, and when shopping, check for bloated tops and broken seals. This isn't paranoia, it's protection. And now you've seen both ends of the aisle. On one end, bright bags full of corners cut, like price tags made of noise. On the other, brands whispering proof to the ones who slow down enough to notice. But here's the part no label will say out loud. Your cat is not a customer. They're family. They don't daydream about diet. They don't run comparison charts. They can't scan lot codes on their own. They just look at you, quietly, entirely, completely sure you'll protect them, and most of the time, you do. But the pet food aisle is built on trust, and trust, when it breaks silently, doesn't always look like betrayal. Sometimes it looks like vomiting. You blame on hairballs, lethargy, chalked up to aging, wobbling you don't notice until it's gone too far to fix. Because bad food doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just settles quietly into the soft places of their system and stays there. Waiting. So here's what smart looks like. It looks like reading behind the reviews, saving batch codes, buying smaller bags. It looks like switching brands not when your cat gets sick, but when the data changes. Smart looks like Vigilance wrapped in love, not fear. You don't need to panic, you need to pay attention, because the industry knows most shoppers won't. They count on your habits, your autopilot, your loyalty to a name long after that name deserves it. So let this be the moment you start asking harder questions. Not just what tastes good, but what doesn't get recalled over and over. Because your cat can't read the fine print, but you just did. They want one that's safe enough to purr, smart enough to nourish, simple enough to trust. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. We don't just review, we expose. From the hidden lab reports, to the failed quality checks, to the corners companies quietly cut. So, tap like, click subscribe, and join thousands of smart pet parents who already know real care starts with smarter questions. Your home deserves transparency, and your cat does too. Feed wisely, feed with proof, feed with love. Not just today, but every bowl after this one.